Greetings friends and welcome back to the Home Slice. Recently I've come into possession of some more really high quality, high carbide, high carbon, fun super steels, and eventually I want to test them on the Andy rope, but I want to get a little bit more experience under my belt before I do so that I can optimize them as much as possible. If you're not familiar with what the Andy rope is, it's a joke that goes way back, but it's just this massive 40 millimeter manila rope. As you guys can see, I'm running a little low on Andy rope anyway, but I decided that I should try a couple of these with just a plain coarse edge. I've been getting really good results from the Spyderco CBN stone in terms of leaving an aggressive edge. That's quite easy to clean up without tons and tons of damage. So the last time that I tried to tackle the death rope, which is this monster of a high tensile sand filled used ship rope, which takes most nice edges and leaves them battered and bruised at the very least. But last time we got through it actually, and the resulting edge on the 10V knife that I was using from my friend Jason, which was somewhere in the realm of 64 or 65 Rockwell, still had a working edge that could slice paper, which was pretty impressive. I figured that it would be fun to compare that with some S90V. I don't have any super fancy, well heat-treated S90V, but I have come into possession of a Manly Knives of Bulgaria Wasp knife in S90V, and so I'm going to put a 400 grit CBN edge on this. We'll take a look at the microscope. We'll give the best a little test to see where it's sitting at, and then we'll see if we can get through this death rope with a knife that has a similar alloy content to 10V, but lower toughness and higher stainlessness. We'll see what happens. Well, 242 is not the best reading I've ever seen, but at the same time, the edge looks gnarly aggressive with, minimal identifiable bending. And so, hey, we're going to give it a try. It's not too far off from what the 10V was, if I remember correctly. I think the 10V was somewhere 220 to 240 range. All right, let's see how we go. Now, this Manly Knives S90V is still a budget knife. This is probably like a $75 slip joint folder, and I reckon that they are probably running their S90V significantly softer than something that you'd get from like Spyderco or somewhere like that. So I'm not sure what that means for this test. I'm not sure exactly how the Rockwell hardness of the steel will play into the results. But feels good so far. We'll see how it goes. Woo! Wow, I have never used S90V before, ever. Like this is the first time, and I can begin to see what maybe some of the hype is about. This is pretty awesome stuff. Wow. So I would say that having an extra almost inch of edge over the 10V knife that I used the other day is a big advantage. So this isn't really apples to apples. Like, you get through the rope, honestly, on sheer like aggression and blade length and steel toughness, like, because if you have 30% more edge, the test is way easier because that little bit of edge stays more crisp. So I definitely felt that. And this Manly Knives Wasp kind of chewed through the rope amazingly efficiently for like the first 2/3 of the rope. And then the different areas on the knife started to feel visibly duller. And it was a very, very big slowdown where the 10V just kind of chewed its way all the way through the rope without a lot of real felt drops in aggression, which is pretty cool. But hey, that's awesome. For a budget knife to be able to do that is extremely impressive. It felt like the stainless steel, maybe they are running a softer heat treat on this, I don't know. I assume it's probably not up at 64 or 65. I assume it's probably more like 60, 59, 58, maybe 61. But anyway, it did feel as if it was a little bit forgiving on the death rope. I think that having a steel that's a little bit more ductile, it can kind of take hard chunks of stuff, and if it hits the steel matrix, it can kind of give a little rather than breaking off. But anyway, wow, 2 phenomenal results. Let's see what the best reading on this Manly Knives Wasp in S90V is. Very, very, very cool. So I have to say, good job, Manly Knives Bulgaria, for pulling off a budget folder that can kill the death rope. I struggle to believe this. This is insane. I should say at this point that if you really want to get through a rope like this, I tested a Spyderco fully serrated edge in H1, and that got through this thing and lost 10 grams on its best number, going from 247 to 257. After which I stropped it and it dropped to 147. So it got sharper than new just off a strop after going through the entire death rope. So serrated is definitely the way if you actually like practically want to get through this rope, but it's quite a fun thing to test the exotic edges on and see how much they get destroyed. 10V fell to, I want to say, 565, but then again it had a whole lot less edge. MagnaCut hit dual grit CPM MagnaCut hit 390 something, and that's the best number we've seen so far. If this is up around like 700, that would be a very normal number for this to hit. Okay, 541. It's right there with the 10V because it's got the vanadium, but keep in mind that that's like a really close result, and this thing has about 30% more edge. So a better result technically for the 10V, but great results for S90V and 10V off the 400 grit CBN stone on the death rope. Very cool. We're conquering this death rope. I often forget to do a paper cut test, so let's not do that this time. Manly Knives S90V after the death rope. Ooh. Well, that's got a real clear dead spot. So, not as good as the 10V, especially considering the edge length. You can drag it through, but I was having to do some slicing motion with the 10V. It's got a bigger dead spot than the 10V had, right about there. Otherwise, the rest of the edge I would say is a working edge, a rough, dirty working edge. It's not going to make any of you sharpening fanatics really happy, but you could use it. That's a pretty cool bargain for a knife, isn't it? You guys can check out Manly Knives. If you want to see where the H1 just absolutely laughed at this death rope test, that's a fun one. I'll put the link on screen now. For all the rest of you, I'll say peace out from the home slice. You guys take care. Bye.